the Democratic mantra, the response was law and order with justice, whatever that meant. And I'd say lock the S.O.B.s up. I remember the liberals used to say, Biden is, quote, an iconoclast. That was what my newspaper called me, an iconoclast. Because how can he really be a progressive and want to lock these people up? I'm sure my friend from California gets hit with that all. How can you be a progressive and be so tough on crime? Well, I wasn't wedded to the notion. Every time Richard Nixon, when I was running in 1972, would say law and order, the Democratic mantra, the response was law and order with justice, whatever that meant. And I'd say lock the S.O.B.s up.
This is not okay. Hold on. A lot of guys want.
Do you know what they edited out of Biden's heated confrontation with that union worker? This video will show you what, and expose a pattern of mainstream media bias for Biden. First, you'll see what the 3 major nightly news shows did air, and then I'll show you what they didn't air.
Grabbing headlines, Biden's response today when he was questioned by a union worker about guns.
On primary day in battleground Michigan, a tense confrontation. Joe Biden cursing at an auto worker who went after his views on guns.
You are actively trying to diminish your Second Amendment right and take away your gun. You're for
Now, shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds?
Biden, who supports banning assault weapons, pulled no punches as he toured a Detroit auto plant.
Take your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay. Hold on.
Right there.
I'm not working.
Thanks so much.
Give me a break, man. Don't be such a worry.
The former vice president.
But along with the chants and cheers, an angry confrontation with one auto worker who confronted Biden on guns.
You are actively trying to diminish your Second Amendment right and take away your gun.
You're for. Now, shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. From the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my son's hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapons. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
You were a veto when you said you're going to take our guns.
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
Still, Biden.
Touring an auto plant in Detroit earlier in the day, Biden got testy with a man who asked why he wants to take away guns.
You're for. Now, shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
Now you'll see the part they didn't show you.
You need 100 rounds?
So when you were a veto when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out there. They're simply a lie.
Your voice, you said that you're taking the guns.
Oh, he just clarified it. Wait. Hey, take your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on. All right. Hey, let's
don't tell me anything, pal. I want to go outside.
There's a lot of guys.
You're
want
me, man.
I'm not worried. Hold on.
So much.
Give me a break, man. Don't be such a worry.
You're pushing up on me.
Network news plus cable news and commentary from CNN to MSNBC only showed Biden cursing the auto worker. They didn't show that Biden did more than curse him. He actually threatened him. Others who got a chance to see the full confrontation saw the outrageousness of what Biden did. If you just happened to have been watching Stephen Colbert's late night show, you could have seen Biden threatening the auto worker.
Biden tried to explain himself to the voter, and it almost led to fisticuffs.
Wait. Hey, take your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on. All right. Hey, let's
don't tell me anything, pal. I want to go outside.
There's a lot of guys.
Wow. He is threatening to fight a voter.
This is crazy that Biden is at the point of mental decline that he's threatening people, and that the media has kept that from the American people. They only focused on the fact that he cursed at him, not that he threatened him. You'd have to listen to some late night show make a comment about it to learn about it. Also, Biden lies. He lies a lot. He lied about marching in civil rights marches. Bernie doesn't have to lie. He got arrested protesting for black people's civil rights.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes.
When I was about the age of the guy standing over there, I got involved in the civil rights movement. You know, when I was a teenager in Delaware, for real, I got involved in the civil rights movement.
I was not an activist. I worked at an all-black swimming pool in the east side of Wilmington, Delaware. I was involved in what they were thinking, what they were feeling. I was involved, but I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. I was not anywhere else.
More than once, advisors had gently reminded Mr. Biden of the problem with this formulation. He had not actually marched during the civil rights movement, and more than once, Mr. Biden assured them that he understood, kept telling the story anyway. That is really, really weird.
And it's really, really wrong for Biden to lie about that. Meanwhile, Bernie doesn't have to lie.
54 years ago, you were in the front lines of trying to desegregate school housing at the University of Chicago. You were even arrested.
We were corralled by the police and told not to cross a line. Well, some of us did cross that line. And, of course, we were arrested. And we spent that night in jail until we were bailed out in the morning by the NAACP.
Biden has repeatedly lied. I'll show you some examples. Here he doesn't keep his word to meet this woman and her friends and then just takes off after his speech.
Right after I got elected in 1972, I wasn't old enough to be sworn in. I was 29 years old. I had to wait. I had to wait time to be sworn in.
I got evicted. I got evicted. Joe Biden does not have a housing plan for me. I got evicted. Joe Biden does not have a housing plan.
That's right. Let them go. You won't get evicted. You won't get it. You listen. Will you listen for just a second? If you listen, I'll tell you. If you listen, I'll tell you. Under my, just tell her to be quiet just a second. This is not a Trump rally, okay? You have reason to be upset. Will you listen? Will you listen? Would you be willing, the three of you, to talk to me after this is over? Because I'm going to make sure you're not evicted when I'm President of the United States of America. You can't be. I'll lay it. I can't do anything now. I'm not the president.
We need a homes guarantee. Where's your housing plan?
Will you commit to a homes guarantee? You got a home guarantee, man.
Where?
Look at my plan. You just listen.
I got cancer and I got evicted. That's how they treat you.
Ma'am,
I got cancer and I got evicted.
let me ask, hey, whoa. If you be quiet for a second, will you meet with me after this is over, and I'll explain to you my entire housing plan, and you will be square. I promise you. Take a look at it. Well, look, here's the deal.
It's not enough. I've read your housing plan. It's no good. It doesn't help us.
I'm not sure. I can check. I'm sorry. What did you say? You said what? You said he's not going to meet with us after he said he would, and you want us to leave? That's what you said? I just shut down the Biden rally because we need a homes guarantee. I got evicted after I was diagnosed with cancer for the second time. His homes plan is not adequate, and we need a homes guarantee. He said that he would meet with us. He committed to a meeting, and then he put us out and had his staff deny us that meeting.
Biden lies! That ain't right!
Biden's own 2007 memoir never mentions being arrested in South Africa trying to see Nelson Mandela, and someone who was traveling with him at the time doesn't remember it either.
It's a lie. Biden himself was forced to fess up on CNN.
I guess I wasn't arrested, I was stopped.
To be clear, he didn't misspeak, he didn't misremember, it wasn't a gaffe, it was a lie, and a really bad one, because he even claimed at one point last month that Mandela later thanked him for getting arrested.
No one has yet to bother asking him about it in a debate, but I'm sure if Bernie had done something similar, they'd have given him a pass too. Am I right?
And we know Trump won't give Biden a pass. He'll use Biden's lies against him, even though Trump is a big liar. And that will demotivate many people out of voting for Biden in the general election. And Biden will lose. We can avoid that by voting for Bernie in the Democratic primary.
The establishment is now putting all of their eggs in the Biden basket. How's that going to go?
And here's another weird thing. He calls this man fat, and then he denies it. Biden and his campaign claim that he said fact, not fat. Watch this.
It's about decency.
You see it on the TV. No, I know you do. By the way, that's why I'm not sedentary. I get up.
Honor.
And you want to check my shape on? Let's do push-ups together, man.
You asked him for an IQ test?
Let's take an IQ test.
Our children are listening.
Look, Fat, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
I was joking. Look, I'm in pretty good
Which is
shape.
what Donald Trump says a lot.
No.
But the point I
Don't
bring it up.
compare me to Donald Trump.
But people
Don't
did.
do
At
that.
the town hall I was
No,
just
they
at.
did.
Yes, they did. The woman you met at the end, 94-year-old Mary, said to me, I was so disappointed in him. This is a direct quote. That is not the Joe I know. He sounded like Donald Trump.
Get your words straight, Jack.
In this time when you talk about needing to restore civility, it's so important to so many people.
That's not civil.
I think it was the tone. I think it was the tone that was off-putting to people.
Your hand-picked climate advisor served on the board of a fossil fuel company.
That is not the person who's doing my advising. If you look at my record and you still doubt about my commitment, then you should vote for somebody else.
I'm just wondering how we can trust you when you've continually broken your pledge not to take fossil fuel money and held fundraisers with their CEO.
I have not.
How about your climate change advisor, Heather Zykau? She's actually made $1 million from the fossil fuel industry. We need a Green New Deal, not more corruption.
Thank you for admiring me so much.
What about your plan doesn't ban fracking?
There's an invisible moral fabric that holds up all societies, and it's based on decency.
Your candidate might be better on, I don't know, health care than Joe is.
You got the right candidate in Bernie. You got the right one.
If you are elected president, in one word, what would you want to be known for?
Compassion.
You can share the link to this video to help Bernie win the Democratic nomination. Leaving a comment, clicking like, and subscribing to Representative Press also helps.
And let us create a government and an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%. Thank you very much.